Hello there everybody and welcome back to another demo review. I know it's been a little while, but it's good to be back. Huge shout out to Anubis Syndrome for sending in today's replay file. If you want your games reviewed on this channel, please use the Google form down below to submit your replays. Today we're going to be looking at how to play properly as a duo in Siege so that you can have a higher chance of clutching out rounds and just closing out rounds in general. I have a really good example here in this ranked game. Now, Anubis is currently ranked silver, but the actual skill level of this lobby was closer towards emerald. So as ballpark figure, you're looking at the top 15 to 10% plus of the player base. So a relatively high skill level. Scoreline's 4-3. So on the attack, they're looking to close out this game. Now, we've upgraded the production quality. We're going to have annotations for this video. So as you can see, the duo that we're looking at, Anubis Syndrome, TUC Syndrome, are the two players here respectively, both at the bottom of screen currently. I will probably change what color I use because I've realized that that is awful, and blue is probably a little bit more fitting. They are just a duo, so the other two players are randoms. And as you can see, or as you're about to see, they're not in particularly great positions, and as this round does go on, they're eventually going to just take straight ones and eventually lose their lives. Now, the Dreamer does get it to a man advantage, so in this position, if it was a squad, you would typically be telling the two players up the top to just wait. Find information, wait for the duo down below to actually get themselves in positions to trade and apply pressure towards games, for example. But as you can see, they're still repositioning here. No real fault of their own, right? You've still got a minute 45 in the round, so there's absolutely no rush. Yet we've lost a pick here, and we're about to enter another engagement over towards here. So you'll see that the advantage quickly does swing back towards the defense, which seems to be a trend in Siege, especially in ranked, is a bit of impatience can sometimes set in. So we'll pause it here. It's a 2 versus 3. What should be running through your mind as a duo to win out this round? Personally, I'm a huge advocate for communication. I feel like sometimes it can be super easy for communication to break down when there's only two players left. You sometimes get super hyper focused, and I feel like often you need to take a step back and really think methodically. Be on the same terms. Where do you want to push? Where do you want to try and potentially plant? Do you even want to plant? Sometimes there's going to be instances where planting actually isn't the best win condition because there might be plant denial. For instance, you've got the smoke on this occasion, so maybe you want to rush in, trade, try and find picks where possible. And then it's about coming up with the plan to actually execute upon that win condition. So we'll roll through the clip. At the moment, we'll see one of these players reposition. It will be Anubis on the roof. So I really like this idea that they're going to try and set up for, I guess, a two-pronged attack, if you want to frame it that way. And whether or not they know it, they have a player, a defender, in the perfect position to be able to shut down from this window here inside of games. So repositioning to this position, having a player to make sure that this player can't necessarily get aggressed from the door. I mean, it's such a good crossfire. It's a little bit hard to annotate, but essentially speaking, if the defense play this well and they're on the same wavelength, they can isolate a pick, get it to a 2 versus 2, and then with still so much time available, can reset, recompose, and then go for the next kill. So we'll see how it plays out. Obviously, it's important that the Nomad here doesn't throw away his life. You could see a bit of an engagement did ensue here, so we'll go to the POV and just see exactly what's going on. Really just getting a feel for what these angles are and not overexposing, because if the Nomad dies here, there's no tradability. If he dies to a player here by overpeaking, there's not really much the player can do from the window here because there simply isn't a route to trade that out. So we'll resume the clip now. And this should be a free kill really for the Ana, and it is. Just checking angles properly. That defender is in a pretty terrible position, to be completely blunt, but gets punished. So now it's in a 2 versus 2. And again, if I'm in this position, or my recommendation would be now, again, you just take another breath. You've still got drones available on the Ana. So you have the time, you still have 80 seconds. That's so much. You can easily find where both defenders are with that information and then convert it into a quick game plan to be able to close out this round. So we'll go back to the overhead because positioning is also key, as I've mentioned before, right? You always want to be in a position where you're creating crossfires and you're able to trade. And you do that by constantly talking to your teammate. Obviously, you don't want to over communicate and tell them what you had for lunch. That's not important. But you need to be able to tell them exactly sort of where you're going to be, what you're watching, what you're looking for, etc. So back to the overhead we go. And we'll just pause here. So we've got a defender positioned over towards piano. The other one's inside of laundry on the doorway. So now as the attack, obviously you need to show initiation in ideal circumstances and find a way to shut down where these players are. So we'll roll through the clip again and we'll just see exactly how this does take place. Fortunately for the attack, someone is about to make a critical error. And if you've already spotted it, well, good for you. I'm looking at the top right of screen now. Boom. So one of the defenders over here gets way too aggressive over towards Terrace, actually hits an air jab that was on the Shark door. So that gives a big sound cue over to the Nomad, and they'll know that there's a player at least lurking Terrace. So it's obviously a flank that has potential to do a little bit of damage. As a defender, though, it's really not optimal to be making that play unless you have really good information, but I highly doubt it given the composition that the defense is running. So it's up now to the Nomad really to step up here, expect the flank, and if he wins this one, then puts them in a great position. So we'll see exactly what happens. Fortunately, the defender does commit and gets punished for it. We'll quickly watch that back from Nomad's POV.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they
So he's
can.
on drones.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Don't know whether or not this is glitched. No, it's not. I paused it. So he's droning forward. Chilling out. Here's the air jab. So boom. And obviously has the presence of mind that he placed it earlier. And he just, boom, straight away holds the angle. He expects aggression. Now, sometimes that could be off the back of the team historically playing aggressive in this game. Sometimes you might be playing an opponent where you're like, there's no way they're going to flank, so you don't really have to be quite as vigilant, but immediately props himself on this angle, hits a really nice shot. Always in the favored position there. And now it's back to a 2 versus 1. And this is the nature of ranked. Rounds can flip so quickly, but these two players in the clutch have found a way to isolate ones really, really well. Obviously, it's not over yet, and I think the best of this clip is yet to come. What you'll see now in the next minute is some really disciplined siege. Like we've seen from both teams, it is so easy to throw away picks if you're not playing together. So that's really what I want to emphasize at the back end of this clip. They play so patiently to be able to win out this round. It would be so easy for so many players, I think, to just completely throw this. So let's zoom in a little bit here on the overhead, and we'll just let this play out once more. So as you can see, the defenders over towards bathroom straight away shoots, gives away information, so Anubis knows that there's a player in there. He had a Gemini out. I believe it got destroyed or he cancelled it. Either way, back on drones. So straight away back on drones, and we'll watch where this pathing is. So they heard him bathroom, so now they check exactly where he's run to. They see him on this laundry rotation. Let's see how they react to that information. In fact, they doubled down. They have the drone now set up. Pardon me. So the drone is now currently right here. You could have a teammate potentially sit and watch it. Obviously, you're in a duo, not a stack, so you can't be overly reliant on that. But in ideal circumstances, you'll know that this player now is completely on an island over towards piano. There is really nowhere now for him to go outside of a potential flank. But at this point of the round, that seems increasingly unlikely. And the second you even know that's the play, then obviously the Iana can take control. So let's go back to the clip, roll it. And you can see immediately pressure is being applied and both players are in okay positions. Now, here's where it probably wasn't as optimally played as possible. As you can see, the Nomad's entering an engagement through the wall and runs the risk of being, you know, one-shot headshot back, right? He immediately peeks here and starts to get aggressive. Obviously keen to get the kill, and it's not the worst of plays, but look where the Iana is. At this point, at least, Iana is still outside. And when the engagement actually begins right here, so shots rain out, information's fed, Yana's still jumping in the window. Yana is a good couple of seconds away from getting inside of launch and being in a position to trade piano. So this was a little bit overly aggressive, but fortunately does get away with it and stays alive. Now able to take some ground. Obviously, I don't think the Thunderbird's going to be able to shoot him back through the wall at this point. It's an opportunity too far gone. And we'll see that flash utility come in and land around about here. So this means that the Thunderbird is basically now on one of two positions. It's either going to be here, exposing him to the hallway, or what is more common and what is played ultimately is this position here behind the box. Again, expose the terrace from behind, but the Thunderbird's going to put their chips on the table and say that both players are going to approach from a similar position. So we'll see this flash utility come out, and that's to try and help the Yana push forward. And as you can see, both players will immediately try and get themselves in a fraggable position. Now, again, my only critique would be that the Nomad, again, is probably peaking a little bit too early. This is really nitpicking, so I'm not trying to be an asshole or whatever. Simply just obviously trying to give some advice. As you can see, Nomad's peaking and exposing himself to the angle, but doesn't actually overcommit. So that is one positive. We'll just go back and watch it from the POV. It would have taken a really sharp shot from Thunderbird here to win the fight. He mainly peeks for information, and he doesn't see the player immediately close, and then elects to go straight for the wallbang. So unless Thunderbird is already pre-watching that angle and hits a headshot, you're probably actually going to be all right. And as you can see, Yana as well now has established a pretty strong crossfire. We'll go back to the overhead. As you can see, Yana has basically now full vision on this position. So Thunderbird cannot escape anywhere. This area is not going to be escapable. And Nomad's also applying pressure through the wall. So they have such a strong crossfire at this point that even if one player falls, it's very, very unlikely that Thunderbird will survive. Now, the other thing as well that Yana probably could have kept in mind, still has a grenade available. A grenade here is going to 100% flush Thunderbird out of the position. And if you cook it right, he wouldn't be alive to tell the tale anyway. Keep rolling through the clip. Damage exchanged. The attack still playing it pretty patiently. Again, not wanting to throw. The nade does eventually come out, so right on cue. It does land a little bit short and to the left. Thunderbird manages to survive, but off the back of that sound cue and the fact that they will now be confident Thunderbird's very low, they can now push through. We'll put it into slow-mo and see how they play it out. Thunderbird swings wide, didn't get caught, so just a bit of mistiming there for the attack, but eventually Nomad will come through and finish him through the wall, just really suffocating the defender with pressure. So that was really well played. Not perfect by any stretch, but you never expect it to really be, especially in a two-stack. That drone, for example, I don't think was really being watched at all by the attack, so that meant that push through, it wasn't going to be as well timed as perhaps it would have been if they knew exactly where that Thunderbird was. But to wrap up, to summarize, in a duo, make sure, especially when you're looking to close out rounds like this, your communication's really strong. Try to feed off one another as much as possible. Let each other know where you're going to push from and try to time it. You can use simple cues like 3, 2, 1, peek, etc. to make sure that you're not bleeding 1v1s and giving away easy picks to the defense. Outside of that, patience, really, really important, especially when you have a lot of time available, which these guys did. It took them, I think, about a minute or so still to close out the clutch, but it didn't matter because even in the dying seconds, they still had a pretty decent amount of time to work with. It's going to take a little bit of time for the replay file to catch up. Yeah, but even after doing the tango for a good 15, 20 seconds at the end, still 30 seconds available for the attack. That allowed them to catch the flanker off guard over towards Shark. It allowed Anubis to get that pick on the player in the game's corner. Communication, patience. Make sure you really embody that when playing as a duo, and you'll find a lot more success in being able to close out rounds when your teammates throw away picks. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Just a quick, simple breakdown. Send it to your duo and win more clutches. If you want your replay files reviewed here on the channel, please, please, please use the Google form in the description down below. It's super easy for you to send me your replay files. So please do like, subscribe, I'll see you in the next one.